This video I'm gonna discuss the importance of different type of benefits associated with different cards like the APEC card. Then you have a lot of cards that help you cross different borders, and they make life a lot easier when you're crossing certain bridges. So I'm going to discuss the different options, different cards, the use of multiple cards that you can not only benefit in the home country, but you can also benefit outside your home country, meaning when you're traveling, when you're crossing different international borders, these cards are going to not only give you access to different countries visa free, so you can jack up the right kind of passport. So many people have plan A passports and plan B passports, but the idea here is not to really use your plan A's or plan B's. They work, we know they're quality options, but let's say you're using a plan C nationality which does not have real good access. That's when these cards will help you jack up the power of a plan C passport. Now, what is a plan C passport? There's a quick citizenship by exception in a bunch of countries in Africa, really. But one particular option that I prefer over any other African exception is the CPLP and the ECOWAS option. So this video is not about a plan C passport or which plan C passports are good. There's separate videos that I've created on the different options, the methods, the pricing and stuff like that. But let's say you want to strike a quick and dirty plan C passport and you want to use these cards for travel purposes. Let's discuss what are the options. The first one is the Canadian permanent residency card, which gives you access to Canada. And apart from access to Canada, what the Canadian PR does is gives you bunch of visa-free access to other countries. So let's say you're talking about Latin America. It really covers Mexico, Panama, DR, Peru, Chile, and bunch of other countries. You got to take a look at the list, and around 22, 23 odd countries and or overseas territories. They're these tiny tidbits tucked in different locations around the world. These overseas territories are important options because they give you access to that country. For example, if you do an SPM, you spend the right amount of time in SPM. It's really close to Canada, and you can do back and forth. And then eventually you can apply for French nationality. Same thing with French Polynesia. You want to strike a plan B home, a getaway or a hideout or whatever you want, or legal hideout, what do you want to call it. Once you have that, you spend the right amount of time and then you can apply nationality for the main country, let's say of France, through these overseas territories. So this Canadian permanent residency gives you direct access to all these places. The second type of option is offered by Mexico, and it is the APEC privilege, and this is really powerful. Now, countries like US or Canada are not full APEC members, but Mexico is a full APEC member. What that does is gives you a direct immigration clearance and expedite entry, business access to important and powerful countries like Chile, Peru, Australia, Russia, South Korea, Japan, and the list goes on. Again, the Canadian or the US option does not have a full APEC access. Those are transitional countries, so very limited features. But once you get the Mexican option, the Mexican passport, you do have a wide variety of access to all these APEC countries. Now, how do you strike Mexico? Quick and dirty option is gaining a temporary or a permanent card, and with us we can obtain the card for you from inside Mexico in 35-40 minutes roughly. And if you have missed the all important video and why I think not just the Mexican card, but the Mexican passport is way better, far better than the Canadian permanent residency or the Canadian citizenship, the Canadian passport. If you've missed that all important video, you can take a look at this one out here. This talks about the comparison and the options for obtaining the Mexican option in a lot of detail. Now, the other option between Canada and the US is the Nexus clearance. If you have the Nexus pass, you're easily back and forth hopping between countries like US, Canada, using the Nexus privileges. You can have additional access to additional lanes which are specifically designed for Nexus users. So that's another type of permit. The most important permit, I feel, is also the Schengen access, the Schengen permit, because once you have a Schengen permit from any one country, let's say you do a Portugal Schengen permit, now there is an EU nation where you can obtain a Schengen permit literally in 5 to 15 days. If you have missed that all important EU residency, it's not Portugal. Everyone just thinks Portugal is the only option. It's not Portugal. The other option in EU is in 15 days, 5 to 15 days, you land and you can obtain it. No need for the visa. You can enter visa free if you have the visa free in your passport, and then you enter this EU nation and collect your Schengen permit in 15 days, and then you're easily crossing different borders. You have a wide access. Once you become a citizen, then you have lifelong access, lifelong settlement rights in any of the EU nations. The Schengen permit is very important for the right kind of candidate. I feel the Portugal permit is also not bad. It's also good. So you can either get this secret, this hidden gem, this beautiful EU country, which is cheaper, the cheapest Schengen permit, the fastest Schengen permit. But let's say you want more flexibility, then you can get the Portugal permit done. The next on the list is the GCC option. So let's say Dubai is your thing, Oman, Qatar. Oman has a bunch of beautiful residency options, lifelong residency options simply by company formation. The process is not as bureaucratic as Dubai or UAE. Oman is much easier, much faster. If you are thinking of Dubai and you're open to better alternatives, there's Qatar and Oman. Oman is particularly my favorite options because it has so many advantages. And there are new residency options that crop up from time to time. If you are subscribed to the channel, I promise you, you would be notified of any new residency or direct citizenship options that come up. It also helps this channel grow, helps me get you more valuable content. So please do me a favor, check your subscription status and make sure you are subscribed if you aren't yet. It makes a big difference. Now let's come back to Oman. As I said, quick and dirty permit, a cheap permit, a cost-effective solution, a safer, a better, a more beautiful country as compared to other GCC countries. But once you have a GCC permit, you do have a lot of advantages across the block. So if that area is important to you or you want to include that as part of your portfolio, then the GCC permit is valuable. There's also the US GC. I'm not going to get into that. That's not everyone's cup of tea. It comes with its own liabilities. You got to be a tax resident and stuff like that. But the US visitor visa is also very powerful. Once you have that stamped on the right kind of passport, you jack up the passport on which you're getting this visa, and then you have wide visa-free access across a bunch of other countries. Now, there's one other option. That's very valuable that I wanted to include is the cedula from a Latin country, from a Mercosur country. First step is you get the cedula. Okay, from a Mercosur country. Let's say you have a Paraguayan cedula or Peruvian cedula or an Argentinian cedula. So getting the cedula from any one particular Mercosur nation is important. So that's the first step. And then you naturalize in those countries, let's say anywhere from 2 years to 3 years to 5 years. Based on which country we are talking about, you need to have the cedula of that country where you're going to naturalize. But let's say you pick up a Mercosur citizenship. If you are a national and that's printed on the cedula, then you can use the cedula to freely move across the block. So you have a complete travel mobility across Latin America. So you've completely covered that continent. And also there's an underdog. There's a very important permit that you get with the CPLP passport, the nationality which others don't include, but which we include as part of our package, where if you have this ECOWAS ID card, you can actually have lifelong access to a bunch, 13 very important West African nations which are safe, which are beautiful. Examples include Ghana, Gambia, and there's a host of other countries that are included on that list. So if you get the right passport through exception, 25 days, 30 days, 3 weeks, give or take, you should have your passport and you should have your ECOWAS biometric ID card. So that would completely take care of West Africa for you. And these are just a few examples, the main examples that I wanted to touch upon. Are there any additional options that you think are valuable, worth talking about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you are interested in a direct permanent residency sitting at home in 5 days, you want to strike this remotely. If you are interested, it's a 0% tax residency. If you missed that video, hop onto this one. This talks about this 100% completely remote 5-day option, and we have a promotion or a special going on. We'll throw this permit as part of that African package. So you're not only getting the right passport, you're getting the ECOWAS ID card, you're also getting this 5-day lifelong permanent residency from this beautiful country. All right, I hope you like this video and catch you in the next one.